So for example, like in the hip hop world, there's a really prominent guy named Alpo Martinez. He killed this guy named Rich Porter. There was a movie made out of it called Paid in Full. And then he went to DC and just went on a bloodbath, ended up killing tons of people with this other guy. He testified against the guy and got like, I think 20 years or something like that for being involved in all those murders. He gets out. He was in witness protection in Maine and basically stayed out there for a couple of years and then just got bored with it. And then just next thing you know, he moves back to Harlem. He's on social media. He's like a little local celebrity, ends up getting killed in Harlem. It was sort of this unrelated situation. Like it was like a road rage thing and so forth, but it's still like he's hanging out in the place where he's had people killed, he's ripped people off. And it was like everyone was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, why is this guy? But it seems like a lot of these guys, they want that fame, that street fame. They can't really just be, Mark Johnson in Maine and, living that quiet life.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like My Blue Heaven, that comedy when the guy's in a program and he can't survive like that. He's not used to it. It's
Martin,
too hard.
Huh? Was it Steve Martin?
Yeah, Steve Martin.
Yeah,
it was funny. He was great. I was his best role, I think, Steve Martin. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. When you're a part of that life, it's tough to give it up.
Well, were you ever in witness protection?
No.
Okay. And that's because you took a plea deal, but you didn't actually testify against anybody.
Exactly. I'm glad you asked me this. I want to clear this up. It's better I do it on your channel than, I've said this a million times. I definitely spoke with the feds. No question about it. But I did it in such a way, look, I can manipulate things. I did it in such a way where I knew nobody was going to go to prison. Nobody ever went to prison as a result of anything I ever told the feds. As a matter of fact, at my parole hearing, the AUSA said it in open court. He said, Franzese never gave us anything of value and violated my parole. The one guy that they said went to jail because of information that I gave, not that I testified against him, Frankie Campione is called. He's caught on tape. He's caught on tape arguing with some guys because some guy is saying to him, another mob guy, I should be killed, meaning me. And he turns around to the guy on tape and says, who did Franzese ever hurt? Now, that's the guy I allegedly gave information and put him in jail. It's all nonsense. People just say these things, But look, Vlad, I can tell you this. I looked for a way out of that life because I saw how destructive it was. I was indicted 7 times. I knew that the next time I went down, if I go down, I'm going away for 100 years, forever. Guys were flipping left and right. And I said, hey, this is the way to make my exit. If I can do it now and preserve the life of my family. But I never hurt anybody. Nobody ever went to prison. I testified in a Senate hearing. Senate hearings are nothing but a dog and pony show. Nobody gets charged. Nobody gets indicted. Nobody goes to jail. And it was about gambling and boxing or something like that. It was all nonsense. So, but people say things and they want to put a tag on you and all of that. But, that's what I just told you. Those are the facts.
Well, but you did break the code.
100%.
Yeah. And isn't that when you sign up for the code, don't they say that violating this code is punishable by death?
Absolutely.
So technically, you could be sentenced to death just by breaking the code.
Well, I was sentenced to death. I mean, there was 100%.
Right.
Persico was my former boss, very upset when I walked away. And yeah, contract on my life. The story, my dad went along with it. He didn't order it, but he went along with it. But let me tell you what omerta is. Omerta means one thing, silence. You're never supposed to even admit that the life exists. You don't admit that there's a life and you don't betray it. Betray it how? By talking about it, walking away. Some people think that when you take that oath, that you're taking an oath to lie, steal, and kill. That's not what the oath is. The oath is you never even admit to the existence of the Mafia. So obviously I betrayed it.
Right. And Vic Arena put a hit out on you?
Well, no, it was actually Persico. Persico is still the boss. Vic Arena never became the boss. He tried to become the boss.
Okay.
And the family went to war. But, Vic and I, we got along, but, we weren't crazy about each other. Let's put it that way.
Well, speaking of Carmine the Snake Persico, when I speak to a lot of the ex-mob guys, they really put him at the top of the food chain in terms of like, okay, this is a hardcore gangster. He lived by the rules. He, never cooperated. He never informed. He stood tall the whole time. But since our last interview, reports came out that he was actually an informant.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
No.
His lawyer said it wasn't true.
I don't believe it. Look, the guy did, most of the time that he was my boss, he was in prison. He got a 12-year sentence. Then he goes to trial. He gets a 39-year sentence. And then he gets convicted by Giuliani and gets a 100-year sentence. If he was an informant, he was the worst informant in history because he never did anything to benefit himself. I don't believe it. I knew Junior very well. And to me, he was a stand-up guy all the way. I could never see him cooperating. I don't believe it.
He was also a psychopath.
Well, I mean, look, he was a tough guy.